We got to the end of the season here now. We're starting to be able to get an opportunity to make some assessments about what's really finally gone on with this year and where this team's landing at, what they've done, how they've done it, how successful everything's been in the grand scale of things. And nothing has been a bigger measurement in wonder than the Macdonald situation and whether or not he's the right coach. Man, he's so young. Man, he's never been a head coach before. How is he going to do? Will he be able to be that defensive maestro that can turn this defense around? Or is it merely that the Baltimore Ravens have a machine-like edifice out there on the East Coast, and it's almost a plug and play, whoever you want to be in there. So whether it's Rex Ryan, Martindale, or Macdonald, they just keep that conveyor belt going. Well, I think that we have seen with Mike Macdonald and his impact on this defense this year, especially, I think even as head coach on top of this, but what he's done to the defense, if we just want to put that in the microscope, has been one that's pointed more to this being that defensive mastermind type that we thought we were getting. That there are a few of these guys that exist anymore in the sport. It's an offensive run league, but you indeed might have gotten your one guy. You got one of those true blue guys that is that kind of way in how he's built, where the smartest offensive minds in the sport are going to have their struggles against this kind of guy. And if you have a lesser offensive mind, if you have lesser offensive personnel, he can just absolutely stamp you down, a little bit like we saw with the Bears on the road on Thursday night, as that was probably the worst game for a Bears offense this year. I know Caleb's not been awesome and people love that offense and Walden got fired, but it's about as bad as it's been for them this year and hold them down to 3 points. And so I think certainly noteworthy. The Seahawks defense is allowing their fewest points per game, 21.4, yards per game, 328.3, yards per play, 5.3, passing yards per game at 205, and the lowest opponent red zone scoring percentage, 52.8% since 2017 on all of those statistics. That is the end of the LOB era. That's an immense defensive improvement this season. Lowest points, lowest yards per game, lowest yards per play, lowest passing yards, best in the red zone defensively since 2017 across the board. That's a hell of a turnaround in his just first season, and definitely points an arrow-wise to this defense continuing to improve in time. What happens when he actually starts to get his exact personnel to fit his defense and not just merely the guys he inherited from the past defensive scheme? I think there's a lot of carryover where there's guys that work in the scheme that worked in the others, but not everybody. So you do wonder what happens when he starts to be able to really calibrate that type of stuff in. But a great stat, and Mike Macdonald has been a fantastic addition here in that I think John Schneider got this one right. I think he knocked this one out the park. We'll see with time, but definitely feels like you're on the right road.